do you just absolutely avoid things that have to do with elected officials or would-be elected officials?
No. I've blogged on President Obama. I mean, do you mean to not get mail or to
just take it back? You work for a
public
publicly
institution.
funded institution
Yes, I
as
do.
opposed to a private institution.
Yeah.
So by and large, you're working from the premise that taxpayer dollars in Wisconsin are supporting the university.
It's been a huge issue.
As opposed to working for a private university that might actually be Gates funded. Or
so I've blogged on my funders. I have blogged on Scott Walker, my governor. It's impossible not to. I'm sorry, I blogged one that says recall Walker with a picture of me at a rally. This is a hot topic at my university, right? The degree to which we can make political statements. This is not my classroom, the blog. I did talk to legal about it a few times, just to make sure. But we're allowed to say our understanding is we're allowed to say what we want. Now, it is through blogging that Bill Cronin, my colleague, got the open records requests on his emails. But he didn't have to turn them over. Like, they did defend him, and he didn't, eventually have to turn them over. But we know at all times, this is a whole other issue, right? I know at all times that my email could be subpoenaed by whoever feels like it. And,
would you have done it pre-tenure?
I did do it pre-tenure.
Okay.
I did do it pre-tenure. And like I said, I'll tell you what else I did pre-tenure that might strike you as even taking it a step further. I blogged on my chancellor. My chancellor tried to privatize my institution. And I blogged on her. I fought her tooth and nail on a proposal that was squarely in my area of research. And I did it after trying to talk to her about it, and she was non-responsive. Wow, yeah, it was a huge deal. This was a very divisive issue on my campus in the midst of the recall, in the midst of all of the protesting last year. It's heavily used, the blog is used by lots of people at my university to know what's going on in the university because people don't talk about it. They're not open about it, and this is what I blogged on my current chancellor. It's very provocative. I was going to say it even gets further, where I think I called her a goon. I have some regrets about some of the language, but mainly not, because what it did was it stimulated discussion, and this was really important. If I had engaged, my dad's a lawyer for the state of Virginia, and so he's talked to me a lot about, the cases in Virginia where, like, the professor was accused of, like, the climate gate. There's been a lot of issues there. His advice to me has been that if I had engaged in personal attacks on the chancellor that had nothing to do with my own academic body of research, and I wasn't speaking as an expert, but I was simply saying, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you, that there could have been repercussions. But because I have the right to speak as an expert in my field on it, and she's engaged in a policy debate about that field, that it was allowed. That was the basic deal. But, for example, there were students on campus, here's the issue that came up around my tenure. There were students on campus who were very supportive of her agenda, and I was very not supportive of that agenda, and they began tweeting at me. Actually, this was when I was on the way to ARA last year. They began tweeting at me that I should stop it, and I shouldn't talk about our chancellor like that, etc. And I said, who's trying to tell a faculty member what they can and can't say? And the students got upset, and they went to the dean of students. And my tenure vote was coming up, and they asked them to stop my tenure vote. Which, thankfully my administration has its head on straight and said, you seriously want to go tell her that she's not going to be tenured because of her tweets or because of her blogging? That won't fly. But people will try these things. But you have to know what you're doing, and you have to know where your rights are. And you do have to stick to, I wasn't talking about I didn't like her hairstyle. It wasn't, she did something mean to me, she didn't promote me, I didn't get a raise, that kind of personal stuff. It was about tuition and financial aid. Yeah.
Do you feel it's an effective way of communicating and changing policies? Because,
yeah.
for example, I was in a group where one of the professors
This is a paper, or this is a blog I wrote when the Chronicle covered a story of a new research study that was being used by critics of affirmative action to say that attending an elite college when you're not academically prepared hurts black students. Right? And this is one of my favorite things to do. I love to go to look at the actual paper and then comment on the paper. It's getting very common for Inside Higher Ed and the Chronicle of Higher Ed to talk about studies that haven't even been peer reviewed, right? And so this is my way of subjecting it to peer review. So I wrote my critique of that unpublished paper, right? And my conclusion was that they skipped evidence in favor of their political agenda. And it was relevant to Duke University, where these professors were. And Duke University was considering changing its admissions policy, and a lot of folks on that campus were very up in arms about this paper that had come out. So I blogged on this. It got sent around via Twitter, and I didn't know it until like about 2 weeks ago. One of the professors at Duke, a law professor, sent me a note and said, I want you to know that your blog was just discussed by the administration, and they have changed the policy. I was shocked. I was like, whoa, stuff happens. The other way I know that stuff happens is I'll blog about what the Senate is considering, the US Senate is considering for like financial aid policy, and my phone will ring. And congressional staff will call and ask to follow up on a blog post. So it's effective. I mean, it is. It's not going to happen overnight, right? You have to get those people reading you. But, you know, you can use, so I blog it, and then I tweet it, right? And I didn't used to use Twitter to drive traffic to the blog, and my traffic has gone up a lot since I used Twitter to do it. But whatever it's relevant to, if of the day, you know, I'm tweeting about gender, then I will add the gender hashtag to it so that people who are not following me, who look at stuff on gender, will see it to get it a much wider audience. It can definitely be effective. Yeah.
Sort of on that point of timing.
Yeah.
If you're broaching controversial topics, like, I mean, had you already been picked up by the Washington Post? I mean, did the fact that you were nationally recognized change the way that, I mean, if you had been making statements about your chancellor and you didn't have this kind of coverage, would the outcome likely have been different for you? I mean,
I don't think they cared one bit that the Post likes the blog. I don't. I think what saved me is that on the area in which I was speaking, I'm an expert, and I'm a known expert on that topic, and that people can disagree with experts, right? We can have different perspectives on whether students are going to respond in a certain way to high tuition, right? But that those are in the realm of things in which we have scholarly debates about, and that if we start to censor professors on those things, there are serious repercussions, right? And I mean, certainly, I guess I would say the one thing, I mean, I know they know that if they had not tenured me, I would have picked up the phone and called somebody. I mean, right? I mean, I would have blogged about it, first of all, and it would have gotten out there. So you can say, but I mean, I think that's just true, genuine. I mean, if you want to have a voice in the world and you want to be safe having it, you need to be a respected person. You know what I mean? You need to do the work to earn your voice. You can't just go and mouth off. I mean, you can't just go and write about somebody's article if you're not, you know, equipped to critique it well, right? Like, just like, I mean, that's an article that I would have usually been sent to peer review. I'm not going to go write about how we teach math, right? You're not going to see a blog on how we teach math, because I don't know anything about that, and I'm very clear that I don't teach on that, I don't consult on that, I don't write on that, I don't do research on that, and I'm not going to weigh in. The furthest afield I have started to go is I am writing a lot now about teachers and about what we're doing to the profession of teaching and teacher accountability, etc. And my expertise on that comes from being married to my husband, who does that for a living, and so I'm reading a lot about it. And I know how to evaluate, you know, evidence standards. Like, so I'm picking apart experimental trials and stuff, because I've done experimental trial work and I can see when something isn't done right. But I hesitated to do that for a long time because teacher accountability is not my area, you know, and I'm not going to get in a nitty-gritty debate over teacher value added, for example. But when it's that far out in the discourse and I have thinking about it, I've engaged in it. And by the way, if you write on something and then you direct it at Diane Ravitch, who has 20,000 followers, so I'll write that piece on teachers and neoliberalism and stuff, and then I said, you know, here are my thoughts on this, and then I went at Diane Ravitch. Diane Ravitch retweets you, whoa, boom, everything flows to the blog. because every teacher in the country seems to follow Diane Ravitch, and then they'll all go look. And it's a great way to get them reading your stuff. It's really powerful. Yeah.
A lot of this is kind of high level, like I'm nowhere near that, obviously. Yeah. And what I'd like to know is just kind of more the basic stuff about how you would approach starting a blog. You know, I have a blog, yep. But you know, I want to turn it into something meaningful. Yeah. Like, what is your approach to that? What's your perspective on how to approach that? How to build it? How to drive traffic? Things like that is, you know, more that basic stuff.
So the basic stuff, I mean, I just think that you first have to figure out what it's for. Like, I don't blog on everything, right? I also like food, and I've refrained mostly from talking about food on this blog because that's not what this blog is, right? This blog is about education and its issues, you know, and we call it the education optimist. If people think we're pessimists, no, it's because we want to fundamentally change stuff and because we're optimistic enough to think that it could change. But you need it, so you need a thing. I think that's the first thing. I think once you know what your thing is, and then you start figuring out, if you're comfortable bringing research to public policy, I would pick something that's in the headlines, that's in the discussion of the day, and try writing a fairly pointed piece on it, at whatever level you're comfortable. It can be, I have issue with just this one small piece of it. This is a great idea, but, you know what I mean? Or it can be, I have, you know, there are 15 issues going on here. You can pick something like, I mean, what I blogged on this morning, I just went to the talk last night at the Spencer Foundation's meeting that Derek Bach gave. And I would normally have tweeted it, but I couldn't get access to the Wi-Fi. So I wrote about it this morning. Well, here's a quick way. I mean, like, everybody's following AERA, you know, 2012 right now on the hashtag. There's a lot of people, right? If you go to a talk here at AERA and you blog about it, and you say something interesting about it, and then you tweet that link to AERA 2012, well, you're going to get a bunch of people right away. Like, you can pick a moment, do you understand what I'm saying? You could be strategic about that. I just did this because, like, we didn't even get to ask open questions last night in that session. So, yeah, they took all our questions on pieces of paper and then asked them of him. So I really feel like somebody's got to talk about what happened yesterday and, like, to really have some discourse about it. So that was why I made sure I did it quickly. And I didn't wait until AERA was over next Thursday to do it because I knew that if I did it right now, it would get circulated through that hashtag and people would hear more about it. So you've got to both kind of find your issue, find your moment, and, you know, a little bit of practice. I mean, I don't think people really started reading us for like 4 or 5 months. And it wasn't until we said something like that was really salient to current legislation or something that it got picked up and sent around.
I mean, I guess that's my big issue is that, you know, once you do it for a while, what is that critical mass that got people to get that flood of readers?
I don't think you can know exactly what that critical thing is going to be, honestly. Like I said, I mean, I didn't anticipate the response to Robin's piece, but what I knew was that I felt like she was saying something really important, and I knew that I hear lots of people say interesting things, but hers was particularly relevant at the moment, and she was the only one saying it, I felt like. I mean, I realize now that, I mean, there's a paper at AERA by Scott Thomas on that topic, so she's not the only one. But you know whether what you think is what everybody else thinks, and you know whether you have something to back it up with. Like, you might wait, I mean, if you're a student, you want to wait till you have that interesting dissertation finding. You know what I mean? Or something. You do need something behind you. You need some credibility. And so, you know, I feature a couple of my grad students blog for me now. And what I'm increasingly doing is giving my dissertators a chance to blog on a new finding, or to weigh in. So I'm a pretty liberal, you know. I have a student who's a conservative, and I feature his stuff from time to time also to diversify the blog. And so you can figure out, well, maybe my contribution is, you know, really going to be made best to somebody else's blog, and maybe I want to see if I can start guesting on it. Mike Hurst accepts guest blogs. There's just, I get people who write to me and say, you know, I like your blog a lot, do you ever accept guest posts? I get mostly, though, from companies that want to guest post on their product, which I don't allow. I urge you not to monetize your blog. I really wouldn't do it, to like put advertising on it and all that kind of stuff. As academics, I don't think you want to go there. It's not going to generate enough money for you for the trade-off that you could be accused of, you know. You wouldn't monetize your papers, yeah.
And the blog material be used in the case in the court?
Can the blog material be used in the case in the court? I bet it could. I think that's a question for the lawyers. Yeah, I mean, I certainly have been urged since I did that material to then write an actual brief, you know, the way that you do write briefs to Supreme Courts, to actually express the opinion in the formal way in which they expect it. But somebody else, I mean, yeah, people quote it. People have emailed me and said, you know, I need to quote from your blog, and I said, go ahead. It's public, I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm writing a diary, and then I'll meet somebody at a conference, and then they'll say, I read your blog, and I'm like, oh my God, it's kind of like, wait, what am I thinking? It's on the internet. So realize that as you're doing it. Absolutely get that if you put it out there, you can't take it back. It is there forever. I am no doubt, you know, I realize that if I probably can't run for office, okay? Because somebody will drag up something that I said later, and there's lots of stuff on me. I kind of made a decision that I didn't care about that. I'm not ever going to run for office, you know? Yeah.
First of all, you probably should.
Should run for office?
Right.
Okay. In what country?
Second of all, okay, Sarah, I came to this seminar not because I don't have the idea, and not that I don't have the target audience in mind, but I don't even know where the light switch is.
How to turn it on? Really?
Right.
Okay.
So, let me just give you a sample idea,
Sure.
and it's not that far from the truth of what, but I'll particularize it to Wisconsin. Let's just say I'm able to show you that in the 2010 non-presidential election year, that the age 18 to 25 cohort of registered voters turned out to the extent of 18%.
Yeah.
I may be off by a few percentage points, and I say to myself, this is a very important issue, and that 18 to 25-year-olds are basically shooting themselves in the foot by not representing themselves. I don't know how to blog it. You do.
Yeah.
Where do I start? Where's the light switch?
Okay, well, unless you have a set of those, you know, and you can see that after that first one, you would have a second one and a third one, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to start a blog and then only have one post on it, right? So if you think you're going to say multiple things, then start a blog. If you don't want to start a blog, then find somebody to run that. You could write it, you could start by writing an op-ed about it, right, and pitching it to the Chronicle or something.
I'm not talking about strategy. I'm talking about how do you start a blog. I'm talking about the mechanics.
Okay, the mechanics.